Chapter 10, Mishnah 1. For Tevila to be valid, every part of the surface of the utensil or person must come into contact with the mikvah water at the same time. The Mishnah cites several cases in which the Tevila is invalid because not every part of the utensil is exposed to the water. Its first rulings concern a utensil into which a handle is inserted. For example, a hammer whose wooden handle is inserted into a hole in the iron head. As a rule, a utensil that consists of several pieces can be immersed as is, without taking it apart. Although the surfaces between the parts are not exposed to the water, the tevila is valid because all the parts of the utensil are considered one entity. In general, a utensil and its handle are one entity. Thus, the concealed surfaces between the handle and the main part of the utensil need not be exposed to the water. However, the Mishnah speaks of a handle that will be removed, in which case it cannot be considered one entity with the utensil. We now turn to the words of the Mishnah. All handles of utensils that were inserted improperly, for example, the handles were inserted crooked, and therefore they will not be removed and reinserted, or straight, or they were inserted properly but they were not finished, i.e. they were inserted straight but not all the way in, and therefore their current positions are not permanent, or they were finished but became broken, i.e. they were inserted all the way but were broken to the extent that they could no longer serve their purpose and will have to be replaced. These handles are chatzitzos. In all these cases, since the handle will be removed, the utensil and its handle are not considered a single entity. Therefore, the surfaces between the utensil and the handle must be exposed to the water. If the utensil is immersed with its temporary handle still attached, the handle is chatzitza, which prevents the water from reaching the surfaces within the joint, and thus the tevila is invalid. Another case in which the mikveh water cannot reach every part of a utensil. If a vessel such as a cup was immersed with its mouth downward and thus cannot fill with water, it is as though it was not immersed. The tevila is not valid because the air trapped inside the downturned vessel prevents the water from touching the vessel's inner surfaces. The next utensil discussed has an appendage that sticks out, such as the handle or spout. The appendage is an integral part of the article and therefore requires tevila together with the rest of the utensil. If it was immersed in the normal way, i.e. with its mouth upward so that there is no problem of air pockets, but without its appendage, which protruded above the surface of the water, it does not become tahor unless it is turned on its side. When the vessel is immersed upright, the tevila is invalid because the appendage is outside the water. It must be positioned on its side under the water so that the water touches every part of the utensil and its appendage at the same time. The Mishnah teaches about three other vessels. A vessel that is narrow at both ends and wide in its middle cannot become tahor unless it is turned on its side. This refers to a vessel with a narrow opening at the top and a wider body. When such a vessel is immersed the right way up, the air in the vessel prevents the water from entering the narrow opening. But when the vessel is tilted on its side, with just a portion of its mouth placed beneath the water, water will flow in and air will flow out. This allows the water to enter the entire vessel, so it can be immersed. A bottle whose rim is turned downward, i.e. the rim is bent downward into the bottle, cannot become tahor unless a hole has been made in its side. When the bottle is immersed, air is trapped in the cavity between the intern rim and the wall of the bottle. The trapped air prevents the water from entering the cavity. A hole must therefore be made in the side of the bottle to let the air escape. A layman's inkwell whose rim is turned downward cannot become tahor unless a hole is made in its side. As in the previous case, a hole must be made to let the air escape and allow water to fill the cavity. Indeed, Yosef HaKohen's inkwell had a hole in its side, so that it could be immersed when necessary.